जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा श्रील गुरुदेवा। जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा श्रील गुरुदेवा। कि जयो जयो गौरचंदेर आरती के शोभा। ओ गौरचंदेर आरती के शोभा। कि जयो जयो गौरचंदेर आरती के शोभा। ओ जयो गौरचंदेर आरती के शोभा। जानावी तातावाने जगवान लोबा। जानावी तातावाने जगवान लोबा। कि दाखी नैनीताय चांद बामे गदाधारा। हो कि बदाखी नैनी ताय चांद बामे गदाधारा। नीताय चांद बामे गदाधारा। निकाते अद्वैदासिनी वस छत्रधारा। निकाते अद्वैदासिनी वस छत्रधारा। कि बबोशी याचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहासने। याचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहासने। कि बबोशी याचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहासने। याचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहासने। आरती कोरे ना ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने। आरती कोरे ना ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने। कि बनरहरि आदि कोरी श्यामर दुलाया। कि बनरहरि आदि कोरी श्यामर दुलाया।
Okay, yeah, it's on turbo. Yeah. So channel 1 I'm guessing.
ओ संजया मुकुंद बाशु घोष आदि गाया।
Right here.
शिव शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला।
It's working on the stream, but the speakers aren't.
किब शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला
Right here.
हो माधुर मृदंगा बाजे प्रराम रसाला हो शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे हो शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे हो माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे हो शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे माधुर माधुर बाजे हो माधुर 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 बाजे
No.
गौरंगेरारतिक शोभा जग जनमान लोभा जग जनमान लोभा जग जनमान लोभा हो गौरंगेरारतिक शोभा जग जनमान लोभा हो गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय ओ जय गौरा चंदेर गौरा चंदेर गौरा चंदेर जय गौरा चंदेर ओ जय गौरा चंदे जय गौरा चंदे जय गौरा चंदे जय गौरा चंदे कि बहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी वदन उज्ज्वला कि बहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी वदन उज्ज्वला हो गला देसे बनमाला कोरे जलमाला
Okay.
किब शिवा शुका नारदा प्रेमे गदा गदा किब शिवा शुक नारदा प्रेमे गदा गदा शुक नारदा प्रेमे गदा गदा ओ भक्ति विनोदा देखे गौरार संपादा भक्ति विनोदा देखे भक्ति विनोदा देखे गौरार संपादा कि बजयो जयो गौरचंदेर आरती के शोभा जयो गौरचंदेर आरती के शोभा जानावी तातावाने जग मन लोभा हो जानावी तातावाने जग मन लोभा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय हो जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा 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 ओ गौर भक्त वृंदा गौर भक्त वृंदा श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो ओ गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो 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 ओ राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो ओ राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो राधे राधे बोलो कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो राधे राधे बोलो कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो राधे राधे बोलो कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो 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 ओ कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो राधे राधे बोलो बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो ओ राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो ओ हरिहराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन गिरिधरी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता ओ श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता भगवत गीता भगवत गीता भगवत गीता भगवत गीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीवा गोपाला भट्ट दास रघुनाथ ओ कृष्णा 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 है कृष्णा 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 है कृष्णा 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 पाहि माम ओ राम राघव राम राघव राम राघव रक्ष माम ओ राम राघव राम राघव राम राघव रक्ष माम ओ श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम ओ श्री राम जय जय राम ओ बोलो श्री राम जय जय राम ओ रघुपति राघव राजा राम ओ रघुपति राघव राजा राम ओ रघुपति राघव राजा राम ओ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे बोलो बोलो ओ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 ओ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 ओ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा नीलमाधव श्री राधे O Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha.
Ito Narsimho Parato Narsimho.
Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha.
Ito Narsimho Parato Narsimho.
Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha.
Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimho.
Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha.
Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimho.
Bahiye Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha.
Bahir Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha.
Narasimha Adim Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasimha Dim Sharanam Prapadye.
Tava Kara Kamala Vare Nakham Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Utanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Tava Kara Kamala Vare Nakham Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubrenga Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Keshavadrita Narhari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev
Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रमा जय सुदर्शन चक्र
जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रमा जय सुदर्शन चक्र
जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
हो जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रीला प्रभुपदा
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शिला प्रभुपदा
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रीला प्रभुपदा
जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
नित्य गौर
हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल एवरीवन प्लीज bow down. जय ओम विष्णुपदा परहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतक श्री श्रीमद शिला AC भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपदा परहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतक श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुर धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल ग्रेस टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज ऑल ग्रेस टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज ऑल ग्रेस टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज ऑल ग्रेस टू श्री गुरु एंड गौरंग ऑल ग्रेस टू जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपदाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष निर्विपाशताय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चातादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त कृष्ण चैतन्य चैतन्य नंद नित्यानंद वेद श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद धन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओ हरे कृष्ण थोड़ा दूर रखो सेंसिटिव है
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Gaur Premanande, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Okay, thank you. So tonight we're going to talk about the material conception of life and how that entraps a person in the cycle of birth and death. It's very important to know this if you want to have a successful life. A successful life is acting in such a way that Krishna is pleased with your service. And therefore, at the moment of death, you can remember Krishna and go back to Godhead. Go back to the eternal world where there's no more birth, death, old age, and disease. What hinders us from doing that is the material conception of life. And that entraps people to stay over and over again in the material world, in the cycle of birth and death, old age and disease. So, in a book I've written, it's called Metaphysical Questions of Life, there's an explanation of the material conception of life. And it says, the intelligence of the materialist becomes corrupted by continual activities prompted by passion and ignorance. They become convinced that the goal of life is sense gratification. This distracts the mind from the pursuit of self-realization, which should result in the realization that one is the eternal servant of Krishna. And thus, one should engage in his loving or Krishna's loving devotional service. Such misconception of life, in other words, the misconception is the mind becomes distracted from the pursuit of self-realization. Such misconception of life diverts one's attention to pursuing the attempt to acquire more and more money so that one may have unrestricted sense enjoyment. Thus, one is overwhelmed by the material conception of life, which is summarized as follows. Point 1. One becomes attached to the objects of sense gratification. Okay, the objects of sense gratification. Anything that gives one pleasure, such as eating meat, gambling, taking intoxicants, and having all kinds of expensive things, and taking, let's say, all kinds of vacations. Anything that is based on satisfying the senses and the mind without, and in the process, forgetting one's relationship with God. So, the material conception of life is the following. Number 1, one becomes attached to the objects of the senses. Cars, houses, 401ks, this thing, that thing. People get attached to all these things. 2, one is preoccupied by many material desires, and when one is frustrated, he or she develops hatred and envy. Number 3, one seeks happiness outside of himself by enticing victims for his sense gratification. He seeks the company of other persons suffering from the same illusions. He likes the feeling of loneliness. He dislikes the feeling of loneliness and seclusion as long as he feels successful in materialistic society. Number 4, he has a tendency to overindulge in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Number 5, he loses control over the activities of the senses and the mind. Number 6, due to identifying oneself with the temporary body rather than the eternal soul within the body, he develops the false ego that he is the body and identifies himself with temporary designations of family, race, ethnicity, nationalism, etc. Next, he tries to prolong his existence in the temporary body by material strategies of diet, bodybuilding, supplements, plastic surgery, and other medical procedures. Number 8, because of all his misconceptions, he develops the false ego and becomes falsely proud of his temporary material achievements. Number 9, he is never satisfied, and whenever he is frustrated in achieving his material goals, he becomes angry and resentful and always blames others for his failures. 10, when he cannot get as much sense gratification as he wants, he becomes angry and delusional in his behavior. Number 11, he over-endeavors to acquire material sense objects and always seeks to be praised for his material possessions and achievements. Number 12, he becomes completely entangled and attached excessively to material things, and in his total state of bewilderment, loses all interest in spiritual knowledge and God-related pursuits. Number 13, his mind then is overwhelmed by material considerations, and he becomes continually anxious and fearful as he gets older, sick, and approaches death. Besides this, there are 3 stages of the material conception of life. 1, negligence of spiritual life because of too much attachment to material pleasures. 2, fear of an eternal spiritual personal identity that gives rise to the mistaken concept that one may merge into the homogeneous oneness of the impersonal light called the Brahman effulgence. Number 3, or the conception of void after death that comes from frustration in life, from which one develops disbelief in everything, being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. One may adopt different forms of intoxication, and any hallucinations one may experience are accepted as so-called spiritual visions. Another aspect of accepting the material conception of life is the perverted material understanding one develops of the different species of life due to ignorance of the soul. One sees only the different types of bodies of living beings: dog, cat, man, elephant, insect, fish, bird, etc. The reality is that the individual soul in each species of life has nothing to do with the incidental bodies that entrap the person or the animal, etc. One receives a material body according to the different unfulfilled desires of the previous life and karma, the good and bad reactions of life. Okay, so this is interesting if you want to know what's actually going on in life. We are, in one way or another, let's say, overwhelmed by the desire for sense gratification. Our senses are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So we have 5 gross senses and 3 subtle senses. And when our senses are not satisfied in the way that we want, we become frustrated and angry. And sometimes people blame God, or sometimes people blame others in their life, or sometimes people just blame themselves and want to commit suicide. So it's very important to develop Krishna consciousness to be free of these types of illusory concepts that enter into the mind. Just like nowadays, you see, it's not only now, it's in the past also, but nowadays you can read in the newspaper people that commit suicide, or people that first kill their family members and then commit suicide, right? And they call that, somehow or other, they convince themselves that killing themselves is the way to solve their problems. Well, the bad news is, if you kill yourself, you don't really die. You get the body of a ghost. Now, the body of a ghost is full of misery, much worse than having this material body. The ghost does not have a material body. They have a subtle body, but they have a huge amount of material desires. So they suffer much more as a ghost than if they, just have a normal human body. People become ghosts by committing suicide, thinking that if I commit suicide, then I won't have any more problems. I won't feel anything. I won't exist anymore. And that is not true, you see. You can't kill yourself, actually. You can kill the body, but you can't kill the soul. And we have two bodies. We have the gross body and the subtle body. The gross body is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. And the subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And then above all that is the soul. Now, the soul is eternal. These other things, let's call them two levels of entanglement, the gross and subtle body, keep us in the cycle of birth and death. Now, by practicing Krishna consciousness, you can purify both the gross body and the subtle body. Most people, somewhat or other, purify sometimes the gross body, but they never really are successful in purifying the subtle body. So they remain prisoners of the desires for success in the material world. Now, the concept of success in the material world is not actually correct. Success of a human being is when they can free themselves from the cycle of birth and death and go back to Godhead, go back to Vaikuntha, where we all originally came from. We were all originally with Krishna. But as soon as we decide to not be with God, we forget about our relationship with Krishna and we come into the material world. Just like every one of us was with our mother when we were born. I don't think anyone would deny that. We were all with our mother when we were born. But none of us can remember that. You remember being with your mother when you were born? No, you forget. The same way, we all forget being with Krishna. And we were all with Krishna originally because we come from Krishna. So in this way, by coming to the temple and hearing lectures about Krishna consciousness and asking questions and then having discussion, you begin to have restart your memory of who you are and what is the purpose of life. Those are the two things that everyone's trying to, achieve. They want to understand who am I exactly, and what is the real goal of life. Now, that question should be asked by everyone. And sometimes people do ask that question. Many times they don't ask the question, or they make a mistake in answering those two questions. who am I and what is my real purpose in life, or what is the real goal of life. So, who am I? It's explained in Bhagavad Gita. I'm the eternal servant of God. That's our real identity. Everyone is a servant, but instead of serving God, they might be serving their dog, they might be serving their country, they might be serving their relatives, they might be serving this or that. But everyone is a servant in one way or another. And all that service that they do identifies their consciousness. So if we decide to serve Krishna, then we have spiritual consciousness. If we decide to serve so many other things, our country, our family, this thing, that thing, we become, let's say, a victim of illusion, because that type of service to country or family is temporary. It's not eternal. So in life, there's two things. There's sat and asat. Sat means what is eternal, and asat means what is temporary. Devotees of Krishna concern themselves with what is eternal. And what is not eternal, they dovetail it or they orient the non-material things into Krishna consciousness. So, for example, you can have a car. You can have a car, so that's something material. But you can use the car to go to a nightclub, or you can use the car to come to the temple. So a devotee will only use cars, money, houses, and so forth in the service of God or Krishna. And non-devotees, they use the same things for sense gratification. So devotees don't say, well, no, this is a material thing, I'm not going to touch it. No, they engage material things in the service of Krishna. And if you don't know how to do that, and you can ask questions, everything can be used in the service of Krishna. Instead of using everything in service of selfish sense gratification, the real goal of life is to use everything in the service of Krishna. And that way we have a real spiritual life. If we become entangled in using things only for our sense gratification, not only we become, let's say, entangled in the illusory pursuits, but we never actually achieve real love. Love is something like, if you ask a person, what do you really want in life? Well, some people say, I want to be successful, I want money, I want to have a nice car, I want a nice, nice things in life. But ultimately, they'll say, I want to have real love in my life. And I want to be loved, and I want to love. Because without that, people are lonely. Now, the one thing they want, there's no education. There's no course in college how to attain pure love in life. Is there? I mean, have you ever seen any courses? No, there's no courses. The one thing that we really want, there's no real course about it. But if you want the course, it's called the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is the oldest book in the history of the world. It was first spoken by Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the sun god Surya 120 billion years ago. It was spoken again. It's been spoken at different times to different people, always by Krishna to someone. But the last time it was spoken was by Krishna to Arjuna 5,000 years ago. And we have that book. It's called the Bhagavad Gita, as it is. And so, if we read Bhagavad Gita as it is, then we can find out exactly who is Krishna. And when you find out who Krishna is, you can find out who you really are. You can never identify yourself in a vacuum. You can only identify yourself in relationships. And the most significant relationship we can have is our relationship with God or Krishna. Then we can really know who we are. If we try and understand our relationship in the company of people like Hitler or materialists and so forth, then you make a mistake. You misidentify yourself. But if you try and understand yourself in relationship to Krishna, you'll find out who you really are. Your eternal identity as the servant of the Lord. Without a relationship with Krishna, we are still servants. Everybody is serving someone or something. That means we are all servants. But when we decide to serve Krishna, we become a real person who knows what the real goal of life is. But if we serve all these other things, we may feel some satisfaction, we may think that we're getting something done, but actually we're just in a state of illusion. Everyone is the servant of Krishna. Why? Because we all came originally from God or Krishna. So therefore, it's normal, it's natural to be the servant of Krishna or God. But as long as we ignore that, we become failures as in our attempt to liberate ourselves from the cycle of birth and death. So that is the real purpose of education, to free ourselves from birth, death, old age, and disease. Those are the real problems of life. The real problems of life are not political, social, etc. The real problems of life is, look, I'm born. I don't remember choosing to be born. I'm growing and getting old. I don't like it. And eventually I'm going to die. I don't like that. Why is this happening to me? You have to ask that question. Why is this happening to me? And it's happening because we don't make an attempt to understand our relationship with Krishna. So therefore, we have a temple. And people go to the temple. What's the purpose of it? It's to understand our relationship with God. Without that understanding, we're incomplete and will never achieve our real goal in life. What is the real goal in life? It's to free ourselves from birth, death, old age, and disease. These things are unwanted. And as long as we don't understand that, we try to achieve all kinds of different goals, like make a lot of money or become famous and so forth. But ultimately, we're frustrated because without being immortal, we can never really be happy. So you'll see that amongst all the billionaires in the world today, their main preoccupation is how to prolong life or have the elixir of immortality. All through history, people have been seeking the elixir of immortality, and they never find it. Why? Because they're always looking in the wrong place. The elixir of immortality is right here. You see Radha and Krishna. They're the supreme couple. And we chant the names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the elixir of eternal life. If you chant Hare Krishna sincerely, you're actually glorifying God or glorifying Krishna. Then, at the moment of death, you remember Krishna because you've been chanting the holy name your whole life. and you will go back to Godhead. The most important moment of life is the moment where you're going to leave your body or you're going to die. Now, the best preparation for dying is to always chant Hare Krishna, so that at the moment of death you can remember Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. That should be our real purpose in life. We should not stay continually in the vicious cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, going through the 8,400,000 species of life, aquatics and birds and mammals and so forth. We've gone through that to come already to the human form of life. It's very rare, and it's very, let's say, special to have a human body, because in the human body we have the advantage of good intelligence, and we can use our intelligence to understand our relationship with God or Krishna, and then we can liberate ourselves from birth, death, old age, and disease. If we understand this, then it's very, very easy to become free of birth, death, old age, and disease. Simply chant the holy name of God, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As soon as you chant the names of God, like the Hare Krishna mantra, you're in direct association with God. Now, Krishna is present in the heart of every living entity. He's the closest person to us. When we realize this, we become civilized, because then we realize that there's a witness to everything we do. The witness is in the heart, as Paramatma or Krishna. Therefore, there are no secrets in our life. Usually when there's, let's say, a murder trial, they have to find a witness to the murder in order to, convict the murderer. And sometimes there's no witness, and therefore sometimes they have to not be able to put the murderer in jail. But there is always a witness. The witness is Krishna. He witnesses everything because he's in our heart. He knows everything we're thinking, everything we're desiring, and everything we've done. So there's no way of hiding ourselves or getting away with anything. Therefore, there's the laws of karma, and in which everyone gets good, the results of good or bad karma, and there's no way of escaping it. So, in the material world, people mostly are living in an illusory frame of mind, not understanding what is actually happening to them. And they, like an animal, they experience, birth, old age, disease, and death without understanding why these things are happening to them. So when we ask the question, why is this happening? Why am I getting old? Why am I getting sick? Why am I going to die? Then they begin to try and find the answer. The answer is in the Bhagavad Gita, the greatest book that's ever been written in the history of the world. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita is the oldest book in the history of the world. It was first spoken by Krishna 140 million years ago to the sun god, Surya. And then the last time it was spoken was 5,000 years ago to Arjuna. And we have that conversation between Krishna and Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. So we're very fortunate to have the Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna explains to Arjuna who he is and how to please him and how to attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. No other book in the world gives you such information. Yeah, there's the Bible, there might be the Quran, and it gives some information, but the full information is in Bhagavad Gita. Much more information about the spiritual world and how to attain the spiritual world through devotional service. There's no other book like that. The Bible and the Quran, they have some things in there that are good, but the full story is in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, if you have the Bhagavad Gita, you're very fortunate. Now, the way to understand Bhagavad Gita is to hear it spoken by a genuine devotee so you can ask questions. You learn by asking questions much more, let's say, significantly than simply reading. When you hear Bhagavad Gita spoken by genuine devotees, you can ask questions and get answers so that you don't misunderstand what's being said. So I'll give you an example. Let's see. And here's the Bhagavad Gita, and it says here. Okay, in the third chapter, 41st verse, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, and he says, "Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization." Now, this is one verse in Bhagavad Gita, but if you don't understand this one verse, you will avoid all problems in life. Why? Because we have problems due to developing lust, anger, and greed. So here it's saying, in the explanation of this verse, the Lord advised Arjuna to regulate the senses from the very beginning so that he could curb the greatest sinful enemy, lust, which destroys the urge for self-realization and specific knowledge of the soul, of the self. Jnana refers to knowledge of self as distinguished from the non-self, or in other words, knowledge that the spirit soul is not the body. Vijnana refers to specific knowledge of the spirit soul's constitutional position and his relationship to the supreme soul, or God. It is explained thus in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jnanam parama guyam me, yad vijnanam samanvitam, sa rahasyam tad angam cha, grihana gaditam maya. The knowledge of the self and the super-self is very confidential and mysterious, but such knowledge and specific realization can be understood if explained with their various aspects by the Lord himself. Well, how can you get the specific aspects by the Lord himself? You read Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna speaking about himself and explaining who he is to Arjuna, and actually it's meant for all of us. Bhagavad Gita is the oldest book in the history of the world. The last time it was spoken was 5,000 years ago, when he spoke to Arjuna. So you can't get a better book than the Bhagavad Gita. Now, the difference between the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, and the Quran, and maybe some other books, there are mistakes in the Quran and the Bible. There's no mistake in Bhagavad Gita. Now, you might say, "Oh, well, you're prejudiced." No, I'm not prejudiced. How do we know that there are mistakes in the Quran and the Bible and no mistake in Bhagavad Gita? Well, one point that'll prove that there are mistakes is that Christians eat meat and Muslims eat meat. That's a mistake. We're not meant to eat meat because we should not unnecessarily take the life of other living entities unless it's absolutely necessary. So that's why we have Ramdas. Now here's Ramdas. He's a miniature cow, and I always bring him to the temple every time I speak. Why? Because it's very important to have a relationship with a cow. Krishna himself is a cowherd boy. All day long, he protects his cows. He takes them out for grazing so they can get fresh grass. He loves them. He cuddles them. He embraces them. So the cow is very important. The cow gives us milk, and milk is the perfect food for health and for vitality. So, of course, nowadays there's so much bad, let's say, publicity about milk. You know, people say, "Oh no, I'm a vegan. I don't drink milk." Why? Well, the main reason is that cows are being mistreated. But wait a minute, our cows are not mistreated. You can come and see. Our cows are never killed. We protect our cows and bulls until they die naturally. And because of that, our cows are friendly. If you come to our farms, we have 3 farms, you'll see how friendly they are. And just now, here's Ramdas. There's a cow. The kids are petting Ramdas. They're cuddling him, and they're petting him. And all of a sudden, you know, a child realizes that, oh my God, this animal is so friendly and so cuddly and nice. And when I go to school, if they put a piece of meat on my plate for lunch, I'm not going to eat it anymore, because I love Ramdas, who's such a nice cow. I can't imagine eating the flesh of a cow. And by the way, if you eat cow meat, you will take as many births as there are hairs on the body of the cow, and in each birth, you'll be slaughtered in the same way that the cow was slaughtered. That means you could take birth for thousands of times, because you have to count the number of hairs in the body of the cow. And one is going to be slaughtered as many times as there are hairs in the body of the cow. Cows are sacred. They're not supposed to be killed. They're supposed to be protected, cows and bulls. And you can come to our farms. We have cows and bulls, and we protect them. That means that we are following Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma means eternal, and Dharma means a real constitutional occupation in life. A real constitutional occupation in life is to become a servant of Krishna or God and spend our whole life engaged in devotional service. So, is that something impossible? No. It's easier than what we're doing now. It's the easiest thing in the world. To serve Krishna is not difficult. You simply offer your food, and it should be only vegetarian food. You offer your food to Krishna on a little altar, and you pray to him. Please accept this offering, my dear Lord Krishna, and I have full love and devotion for you, and I'm always praying that you can protect me so that I can always be your servant. Basically, that's the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear Lord Krishna, and O Radharani, the eternal consort of Krishna, please protect me so I can always be your servant. That's the prayer of the Hare Krishna mantra, or the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra. So, our real position is that we are all servants. The husband serves the wife serves the husband and wife serve their children, and, you know, we're always serving someone or something. That's our nature. That is what we're made to be. That is our constitutional position, to be a servant in one way or other. And when you have no one to serve, you buy a dog and you serve the dog. But you can't stop serving. So, when we decide to serve Krishna, then we become real. We become a real person, because by having that relationship of servitorship to Krishna, it defines who we are. We become a devotee of the Lord. And if you become a devotee of the Lord, that'll solve all your problems in life because the Krishna or God is reciprocal. You serve him nicely by offering your food first to Krishna, and the food should be only vegetarian food. Then Krishna says, okay, this is a nice devotee. He's chanting my names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He's offering his or her food to me before they eat. Therefore, I'm going to protect this person. The protection of Krishna is the greatest life insurance that you could ever get. And it's free. If Krishna protects you, no one can kill you. If Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. Rake Krishna Mariki, Mare Krishna Rakiki. So we should always serve Krishna with love and devotion, and it's reciprocal. Krishna will thank us by protecting us and giving us knowledge by which we make the right decisions in life, and also to help us in all different situations of life. So, our best friend is Krishna. Why? Because he's in the heart of every living entity. He's in your heart, he's in my heart. He's the closest person to us. So therefore, we should take a serious, let's say, endeavor to understand who Krishna is and how to serve Krishna in a positive way and thus have a successful human life. The success of a human is if they can free themselves from the cycle of birth and death and go back to Godhead. That is success. Success is not to end up in a cemetery with a cemetery stone on top of us. That's not success. Success is to go back to Godhead in our eternal spiritual body and be free eternally from birth, death, old age, and disease. So I'm going to stop right there. If anyone would like to ask a question, here's your chance now. Ask a question. We always have a rule here. No question, no eat. So if you want to have some nice prasadam, ask a question. And there must be a question. I don't think you can you accept or agree with everything I said. So there must be some question. So I'm going to give you a chance now. Would anyone like to ask a question? Hare Krishna. Anybody? There must be somebody that has a question. Yes, Mataji. Karma. Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Haribol. Who is she? Who is she? Okay. What is that lesson? about her. Yeah. Well, let's say one thing that we know that is factual. Committing suicide is a very sinful thing. It doesn't solve any problems. It makes all problems more difficult. Because once you commit suicide, immediately you get the body of a ghost. Now, the body of a ghost is a very, very bad thing to have because the ghost still has many material desires, but now because they have the body of the ghost, they can't satisfy him. So the ghost is extremely frustrated. There are ghosts. People who commit suicide, they become ghosts. So before committing suicide, they had the opportunity to achieve love, compassion, all these relationships they could have had with other people. As soon as you become a ghost, you can't have those types of relationships because you don't have a gross body. You have this subtle body, and the subtle body cannot interact with other bodies, right? Or whole bodies of people. So the ghosts are extremely frustrated, and people think if I commit suicide, I won't have any problems. I won't exist anymore. That's not true. That's a false narrative. You're going to continue to exist, but in the ghost body, which is a subtle body made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And the ghost suffers because the ghost still has strong material desires to satisfy. The ghost body does not end existence. You cannot kill the soul, but you can put your soul in a very difficult situation if you commit suicide. And then you just become more frustrated than when you had your full body, because now the same desires are there, but you don't have a full body to satisfy them. So it's more frustrating. You see, it's suffering. It's terrible suffering. Suffering is when you have desires and you can't satisfy them. So that's the worst thing you can do. Think that if you commit suicide, you won't have any problems anymore. You won't exist anymore. You won't have any frustration anymore. That's not true. You'll suffer much more, and you will not be able to kill yourself. You can't destroy the soul. You see. So these are all false ideas that people have. They think, if I kill myself, then I won't suffer anymore. No, you're going to suffer much more than when you had your body, your gross body. So we have two bodies, basically, a gross body and a subtle body. Even when you die, your subtle body continues to exist, and you have your soul, which is eternal. However, if you purify the gross body and the subtle body by Krishna consciousness, then you will get rid of the gross and subtle body, and you have your spiritual body in which you go back to the spiritual world. If you simply get rid of your gross body, you still have the subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And the mind, intelligence, and false ego is full of desires. And therefore it doesn't solve any problem. Death does not solve any problems because you can't kill the soul. And the soul has these two coverings, a gross body and a subtle body. So both have to be purified, the gross and subtle body, by engaging in devotional service, regularly chanting Hare Krishna, coming to the temple, and above all, engaging in sevas, devotional service to the Lord. Then you purify the gross and subtle body, and then you can be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. So people don't know any of this stuff. They don't. Nobody's teaching this. All this is in the Bhagavad Gita, but people don't take it seriously. Bhagavad Gita has been around. It's the oldest book in the history of the world. It has a history. The first time it was spoken was 140 million years ago, and the last time it was spoken was 5,000 years ago. So it's the oldest book in the history of the world, and it's associated with Bharat, or so-called India. But are people actually reading it and understanding it? No. Some people read it, but to understand Bhagavad Gita, you have to hear it spoken by a genuine devotee, and you have a chance to ask questions. Then you will understand Bhagavad Gita. You don't learn anything simply by reading a book. You might learn a few things, but not much sticks in your mind. But when you hear knowledge spoken, and then you ask questions, then you can understand. So Bhagavad Gita is the greatest book in the history of the world. If we can hear it spoken by genuine devotees, then you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, and without any doubt you will receive pure knowledge of how to liberate yourself from the cycle of birth and death. That means you're a successful human being. Right? People that keep being born over and over again in the cycle of birth and death, they're not successful. They're prisoners of their own ignorance. But when you become liberated from the cycle of birth and death, that means that you are a successful human being, and you achieve the real goal of life, which is going back to Godhead. So, your question was? Okay, did this person say what those lessons are? But you don't have to be a lion to learn that lesson, how to control your anger. You can come to the temple and give your obeisances or bow down in front of Bhagavan, Krishna, and listen to Bhagavad Gita spoken by genuine devotees. And you can protect yourself by learning how to control yourself, your anger, your lust, your greed. You see, these are the things. You don't have to take birth as a lion to get rid of your, anger. You can get rid of your anger just by sitting down and hearing lectures, and then engaging in devotional service, with other devotees. Then you become purified. See, people make things complicated. Oh no, you have to die and become a lion. Then you will become gradually, free of your anger. That's a bunch of nonsense. You have to sit down and hear from genuine devotees speaking Bhagavad Gita, and then engage practically in devotional service under the tutelage of bona fide devotees. Then your lust, anger, and greed will become nullified by genuine knowledge and by genuine devotion. Devotion an activity is an activity of showing your love to God by serving God. So Krishna is a person also, just like we are persons, right? So therefore, when you worship the deity of Krishna, we offer food. We offer food 6 times a day to Krishna. We change his dresses twice a day, and he's not, a statue. He's not He's actually a living person in the specific form so we can see him. And he accepts our service. That's why we offer food 6 times a day. We bathe the Lord. We change his dress twice a day. We chant for the Lord. We do arati to the Lord and so forth. See? So when you start doing things like that, then you begin to learn to control your anger, lust, and greed. If you don't do that, if you don't engage in devotional service to the Lord, you don't learn anything. You know, you can make up some theories, like you should take birth as a lion, and then you'll get rid of your anger, and then you take birth as a human being again. That's a bunch of nonsense. It's not true. What's true is that you surrender yourself to Krishna, and the proof that you're surrendered is you engage always in the service of the Lord. You come to the temple, you bow down, you engage in chanting for the Lord, dancing for the Lord, you engage in hearing lectures about the Lord, you engage in eating the prasadam of the Lord, you learn how to cook the prasadam for the Lord and offer it, and so forth. Now you're on the fast track to go back to Godhead, right, by doing that seva. Every one of us is a servant. We're going to serve someone or something. Even the worst person is a servant, right? And if you don't have anyone to serve, usually people will buy a dog and serve the dog, right? So if we learn to serve Krishna, that's the real purpose of life. Because we're all servants. And the best person to serve is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That will solve all the problems of life. But thank you for that question. Hare Krishna. Any other questions anyone would like to ask? Yes, Prabhu. What? Wait a minute. Say that again. Subtle body. Yes. Soul is always there. It can never be killed. It can never disappear. Soul is over. But it can get covered with lust, anger, greed, and so forth. Right? But it's like a gold ring. If it falls into the toilet, let's say you pass stool, right, and all of a sudden the ring falls off your finger and goes into the toilet. What do? Do you flush the toilet? No. The ring it's a gold ring. It's you stick your hand in the toilet and you take it out of the toilet and you wash your hand, you wash your ring, and you put it back on. So the soul is like that. It's never really contaminated, but it can get covered over, just like the gold ring gets covered over by stool because it fell into the toilet. But you pick it up and you wash it and clean it and put it back on your finger, right? So the same thing, your soul can never really be corrupted, but it can be covered. So we have to uncover it by purifying that contamination that's around it. And how do you purify it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chanting the holy names of the Lord and always hearing lectures about the Lord and being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. That way, if you practice chanting and thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day, you're guaranteed to go back to Godhead because you'll be able to remember Krishna at the moment of death. If you think, well, I'll wait till the moment of death and then I'll chant Hare Krishna and I'll go back to Godhead. It doesn't work. It won't work. Practice makes perfect. So in order to remember Krishna at the moment of death, you have to practice chanting the names of Krishna throughout your whole life. Then it's a natural thing to remember Krishna at the moment of death. Some people think, well, I'll just enjoy life and then the last minute I'll chant Hare Krishna. It doesn't work like that. It won't work. And you can't cheat Krishna. You can only cheat yourself. So best thing is just chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, go on Sankirtan, hear lectures, do service in the temple, have nice relationships with devotees, and always be, let's say, humble and meek, and always be engaged in seva for the Lord. Then all your problems will go away. You'll live a very peaceful, happy life. And at the moment of death, you'll be able to remember Krishna and go back to Godhead. Hari Bol. Any other questions? Nobody? Then we will say good night for today and continue again tomorrow morning. Krishna consciousness goes on every day, basically 24 hours a day. And it's a wonderful way to live by being Krishna conscious. Everything becomes nice in your life because you're under the protection of Krishna. That's the best insurance policy that you can get. No one can protect you better than Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shrimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj ki jai, Shri Radha Nila Madhava ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Haribol, Haribol. Thank you very much. And go and take rest right away so you can wake up early tomorrow morning and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, Haribol, how are you? How's my health? My health is okay. My wealth is not okay, but my health is okay. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Your prayers are working. I'm here, right? Thank you. By Krishna's mercy, I'm still here. How's everything in your life? Yeah. Who? What's her name? Okay. Hmm. Oh, that's a mistake. Yeah. We don't leave deities outside. Yeah, well, it might look good, but
It's not protected.
yes, the birds and bugs and so many things. Anyway, that's all right. What's he been doing in the meantime? Well, he's welcome to come. He wants to do. Well, that means he's not actually doing.